All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about how one single tech breakthrough didn't just move the goalposts, it basically tore up the entire field and wrote a completely new rulebook. This is the story of how GPT-4's arrival lit a fire under the biggest names in tech, kicking off this high-stakes, all-out competition. And just so we're all on the same page, the stakes here are massive. This is way more than just a tech rivalry. We're talking about a race to define the future of information, of intelligence itself. It's a genuine global power struggle.
So, what kicked this whole thing off? Well, look at this. On the bar exam, one of the toughest professional tests out there, the old model, GPT 3.5, scored in the bottom 10%. I mean, not bad for a machine, I guess, but it wasn't going to change the world. Then, GPT-4 comes along, and it doesn't just pass the exam, it absolutely crushes it. Top 10% of all human test takers. That's not just a step up, that's a leap across a canyon, a total game changer.
That one results, that single data point, sent absolute shockwaves through the tech world. It was like a starter pistol for a new kind of war. So, who are the main players on this new digital battlefield? First up, you've got OpenAI, right? They're kind of the scrappy disruptor that fired the first shot. Then you have the absolute giant, Google, sitting on a mountain of data and infrastructure. And playing the wild card, that's Meta, coming in with a totally different open source angle. So yeah, 3 titans, 3 totally different game plans. Okay, to really get why everyone's freaking out about this, we gotta dig a little deeper into what makes GPT-4 so special. I mean, the test scores are mind-blowing, for sure, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. The amazing thing here is the range. GPT-4 isn't a one-trick pony. We're talking log exams, grad school tests, you name it. It was performing at a human level, sometimes superhuman level, across all these different fields. That was the real signal flare. These AIs weren't just specialists anymore. They were becoming powerful generalists. But honestly, the real mind-blower? GPT-4 can see. It's multimodal, which is just a fancy tech term for saying it gets images, not just words. And check this out. You can show it a ridiculous picture, like this one, a massive old computer plug trying to connect to a tiny iPhone, and you ask it, hey, what's so funny here? And it gets it. It totally understands the joke, the absurdity of mashing up ancient tech with modern tech. This capability alone just blew the doors wide open for what AI could do. So the big question is, how? How did OpenAI pull off this massive leap? It wasn't just about throwing more data or more computers at the problem. Nope. The secret was a major engineering breakthrough in the process of building these AIs. They figured out something called predictable scaling. Predictable scaling, what is that? Well, put simply, it's like having a crystal ball for AI. It lets you predict with crazy accuracy how your giant, super expensive AI model is going to perform before you spend all the time and money to actually build it. You do it by training a tiny little version of it first, and then just scaling up the results. Here's a perfect analogy. Think about an architect who's about to build a massive skyscraper. They're not just going to start pouring concrete and hope it stands up, right? Of course not. They build a small, perfect model, they test it, and from that little model, they can predict almost perfectly how the real thing will hold up. That is exactly what OpenAI figured out how to do, but with artificial intelligence. And this chart, this is the proof right from their own report. That dotted line, that's what they predicted the performance would be, based on a model that used 10,000 times less computer power. And that little green dot? That's where the final massive GPT-4 actually ended up. Look at that. It's a perfect match. They basically called their shot from across the court, and swish, nothing but net. That was their secret weapon. Okay, but let's pump the brakes for a second. As powerful and amazing as GPT-4 is, it is absolutely not perfect, not even close. And it's super important to understand its limits, not just get hyped about its strengths. Probably the biggest and most well-known problem is what we call hallucination. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. The AI just makes stuff up. But it does it with such confidence, it presents false information as if it's a stone-cold fact. It sounds totally plausible, but it's just wrong. Here's a great example of how tricky this can be. You ask it a trick question. Name the rock singer named Elvis, whose dad was an actor. Now, almost everyone and the AI is going to jump straight to Elvis Presley. But wait, his dad wasn't an actor. The right answer is actually a much less famous guy,
Elvis Perkins. The AI gets it wrong with total confidence because it just plays the odds, going for the most common Elvis it knows, and it completely misses that critical detail.
And this is where things get really weird and kind of paradoxical. On the left, you see the raw AI before all the safety training. It's actually pretty well calibrated, basically has a good sense of when it doesn't know something. Its confidence lines up with its accuracy. But then look at the model on the right, after they trained it to be safer and more helpful. That process, while good in some ways, also made it, well, overconfident. So in the effort to make it more useful, they kind of broke its ability to know when it was just guessing.
And another huge limitation you've got to remember, this thing is basically a time capsule. Its knowledge of the world pretty much stops in September 2021. It can't learn from talking to you, and it has zero idea what happened on the news this morning. It's not connected to the live world.
So you've got this incredibly powerful, but also kind of flawed technology out in the wild. How did that completely shake up the tech industry? Let's get back to our three titans and see how they're battling it out.
Think of this as your field guide to the AI war. Let's run through it. OpenAI, their big bet is on AI agents. Not just chatbots, but AIs that can actually do stuff for you. Google's plan is to bake its AI into, well, everything you already use, your search, your Android phone, the whole 9 yards. And then there's Meta, playing a totally different game. They're trying to win by giving their models away for free, hoping the entire developer world builds on their tech. Every one of these strategies is powerful, but they all have some big potential blind spots too. And you're seeing these strategies clash in a few key areas. I mean, there's a flat-out race to build the first real AI assistant, something that could replace a bunch of the apps on your phone. The future of search, which has been Google's kingdom for decades, is suddenly a jump ball. And it doesn't stop there. Content creation, who controls your phone's ecosystem, everything is being turned upside down. So let's zoom out. Forget the corporate smackdown for a minute. What does all this actually mean for you and me? For our jobs, the tools we use, just our everyday lives? Because make no mistake, this war is actively shaping the world we're all going to be living in. You know, by the time we hit 2030, our world could look radically different. Just picture it. Instead of fumbling with 10 different apps to plan a trip, you just tell your one AI agent, hey, plan me a weekend trip to the beach. And it does it all. Books the flight, the hotel, even the dinner reservation, all from one sentence. We'll each have a personal assistant that knows us inside and out. And yeah, just like when the internet came along, some jobs will disappear, but a whole new world of jobs, careers built around working with AI, is going to open up. And that really brings us to the biggest question of all. As these giants fight it out for supremacy, the real question isn't just who's going to win. It's what kind of world are they building while they fight? The winner gets to embed their values into the foundation of our future. What will that world look like? That's the real question, and it's one we all need to be thinking about.